right? We have all kinds of special friends tonight. And so before starting, I'd like to welcome each of you. And I was told it's a very important thing to let you know when we're done, so you don't have to begrudgingly listen to all this. And so make sure, if I give you a thumbs up, you guys can exit, all right? And so we'll be on. And so I call this meeting to order for Monday, May 8th. Welcome again. I call the roll. Mr. Bertram, can you see who's here?
I certainly will. Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Here.
Mrs. Mulligan? Here. Dr. Urso?
Here.
And Mrs. Stewart is away and excused for this evening.
Wonderful. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? If there are none, Mr. Bertram?
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
And Dr. Urso?
Yes. All right, the main thing on our agenda tonight, I believe, is all of our special artists, who I got to meet a few of you. And so at this time, I'll turn it over to Ms. Hauser and allow her to start the festivities in terms of the 2023 Permanent Collection inductees.
Let me just first start off by saying, wow. It is such an honor to see such talented young people with us here tonight, to see you, to see your artwork. We are super proud of you and your talents. Let me just take a second to say that we had our art show back on April 13th. We haven't had a district art show where people come in since COVID. So we had our art show back then at the high school, had a dynamite turnout, full house, and our young students here, young gentlemen and ladies, their artwork was chosen to be part of our permanent collection. So we're going to introduce each one of our artists tonight, along with their art teachers. We're going to ask them to come up. I believe Mr. Donner is out there somewhere. Mr. Donner, if you'd like to come up to the podium. Our young artist, Mr. Donner, is going to explain to you how this is going to work this evening, because we definitely want to give you the recognition that's due and really admire your talents. And also know you're going to be on TV. So there's a camera over here, so smile pretty and be proud of your artwork. Mr. Donner.
Thank you, Ms. Hauser. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nick Donner, art teacher at Amanda Elementary. I and the rest of the art department would like to thank the board for having us here tonight to recognize the extraordinary talent and vision of our newest inductees into the permanent collection. This school year has been a big return to form for our art department after the COVID closures sidelined us for a bit. We've finally been able to return to our first in-person art show since 2019, which you mentioned, which was a huge success. And now tonight we get to properly recognize the hard work of these 15 amazing young artists whose beautiful art has been professionally framed and will be installed into buildings all around our district. I would like to thank our treasurer, Randy Bertram, an avid art collector himself, for continuing to support this initiative over the years. I would like to thank Andy Laswell and Tammy Hager from framing the pieces, to finding the easels, to the refreshments we enjoyed before we came in. If not for their help, none of this would have happened. I would like to thank our new superintendent, Deb Hauser, who, despite being our new superintendent, has been a familiar face to us all for many years and has always been an ardent supporter of the arts programs we offer here in Middletown. Lastly, thank you, artists, for sharing your outstanding talent with us, and to your parents and loved ones who nurtured and protected those gifts that we are celebrating this evening. All right, without further ado, I'm going to call up the inductees with their teachers. I believe the plan is to make sort of a horseshoe configuration. And teachers, you can help me out and let me know if, I know there's a few artists that aren't here this evening. I know of a few of them, but I might have missed a few. So you can just kind of gently let me know if they're not here, and you can bring their pieces up for them. And then I also have a friend, Dan, here, who's going to hold up a few pieces as well for some of the teachers who couldn't be present tonight. Okay, we're going to start off. We have a set of mixed media portraits by Gavin Lark from Central Academy and Harper Marshall from Miller Ridge. with their teacher, Lauren Spencer.
Yep.
Please,
Over here.
yes.
And if you can face the camera with your art.
Face the camera.
There you go. We're just going to make a big horseshoe.
All right, next we have a marker and colored pencil portrait by Hayden Gonzalez from Creekview. I'm not sure if Hayden Gonzalez is here tonight, but I know Miss Greer was not able to make it, so I think
Is it going to be Mr.
our friend
Dan?
Dan is going to help
Dan the
us out
man?
with that. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to skip then to Rosa Parks as well, because I believe that's the other piece. We also have a mixed media koi fish on artboard by Ava Williams from Rosa Parks. Her teacher is Donovan Hahn. Next up, a chalk, pastel, and acrylic landscape by Nemo Tolner from Mayfield with Cassie Pence. Next, we have a symmetrical design in oil, pastel, and ink by Justine Wang from Wildwood with Jim Weir. We have a portrait of a dog in oil, pastel, and colored pencil by Emily Sanchez from Highview and teacher Quinn Orr. All right. We have an abstracted design and marker by Zoe Plants from Middletown Middle School with Karen Stevens. And while we're at it, we're going to throw in a study of birds in ink and watercolor by Kai Policki. Their teacher, Miss Thayard, could not be here tonight. All right, next we have a colored pencil diptych by Abigail Tadich and Callista King. I'm not sure if both of them are here. I think Abigail is here from Middletown High School with their teacher, Trish. Next, we have an abstracted study of a fox in mixed media by Blaze Smith from Middletown High School with Rick Krebs. Squeeze in or something possibly.
Or
Yeah.
just back it, back up
Or
a
just
little
back
bit.
it up a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Then we have a study of cherry blossoms in digital ink and paint by Julius Back-Maluski from Middletown High School with Susie Tadich. Susie's also bringing a self-portrait in acrylic on canvas by Raina Alexander from Middletown High School, and her teacher, Justin Shearer, was unable to be here tonight. And last but not least, and then parents can get their photo ops and everything with the whole group. We have a mixed media abstracted Dreamcatcher by Damani Rice, from Amanda, and I'm her teacher. So. Right.
Yeah. I think we were going to all try to squeeze together so we could get one big picture. Right? You guys want to come around? You want to see?
Yeah, thank you.
Just to see the pictures.
I want to see him. What have you done? Oh, I don't
Put
need
it all
that.
in?
I won't need it.
Yes, you do. Let's
Mm-mm,
see.
I'll be good.
You better let me take your arm.
3, 2, 1, cheers. All right, very good.
All right, thank you very much.
The best of the
Can
best.
we move? Or should we stay for? You have a few more pictures?
Best of the best.
Teachers are bringing out and
I see these hanging in the buildings.
I see why they were
Permanent
best.
display.
They're beautiful.
Oh, sure. You're gonna take it.
very nice.
Oh, yeah.
I can squeeze right in here. Can I squeeze right next to you?
Yeah, can you do that?
We're gonna go over here. We're gonna spread it out.
Oh, we're getting the board in here? Okay, I like that, okay.
Hang on to her, don't go over here.
Want to step behind us? Sure.
Mr. Bertram, you're not in here now.
Always a plan. Do you want to switch, Rick? Do you want to switch?
Get it? Okay, good. Okay. Thank you so
All
much,
right.
guys. Very proud of yourself.
That's you.
Very proud. So you take those back to your buildings. I'll find a special place for them.
All right. We'll take them back.
Oh, the teachers are
And I guess I need to just fix. You want to get Miss Clear?
right there. She's the one who was taking the photo with my earlier, except you wasn't showing her. She showed up late. She's only a sophomore.
As a person who has either no talent or very, blatant. So they took a picture and then they had to draw it digitally over the top of it. I got it. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, to draw it.
Yeah.
It was a signature project, so. Brought the results on. Yes. Okay.
Now we'll be fighting about where they're hiding.
Yeah, right. Thank
Nice
you.
job. Do you want me to take all? Nice job, Rick.
See you, Rick.
I don't think we expected something like at the beginning of this, spray the high school. Or splatter it on paint, or any of that that I did.
I do it a lot.
Real big stuff. Oh, you do? Okay. Very good. Well, thanks for coming in.
Well, the fun level just went down.
Now work.
I was given strict instructions not to forget that.
Yes, you were.
Yep. Yep, and now we're alone again.
I know, now it's,
That's sort of, darn it.
Stay here, let's stay here, stay out of the way.
Now we're
Stay
alone
out of the
again.
way so that you buy.
No, they're
Darn
coming right
it.
here. Nobody's coming back, just you and me.
It's just us. That was nice.
yeah.
A lot of talent.
That was
That's
after
all.
me.
You need to be closer.
You're right.
It's okay.
I can push you a
So
little closer.
No,
will those be on display down here or in the buildings themselves? Because I know in some offices, historically, we have those there.
I think they've always been up here, but I think we're running out of space up here.
And so they're going to go into the buildings?
Yes, they're
That's
going to
awesome.
buildings, yep.
Yeah, and that's
So
cool.
there'll be a permanent display.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
Okay,
Well, like I said a minute ago, the fun level just went down quite a bit. And so thank you for always organizing that, Ms. Hauser. It's kind of the
that's
joy
the best
that-
part, right?
Right,
Yep,
right.
That's
And
the best part.
Yeah, the cookies are good too, and here's
and
strawberry.
the
Yeah.
cookies are good too. All right, if we're ready, we can move on to the consent agenda.
Yes.
All right, is there a motion for approval of tonight's consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments, things to highlight, donations, explanations needed for tonight's consent agenda?
No donations for this meeting.
Notice again some field trips. It looks like our cheerleading crew are going to go back up to Miami University this summer, and our basketball team looks like they're going to be able to get out and move around a little bit too.
Up by Cedar Point, yep, they'll be heading to the Cleveland area, Sandusky.
All right, my cousin works at Cedar Point, so give him a hookup. Get him in. Any other
Sister did many years ago.
at Cedar Point? Yeah. All right, if there is nothing, then I think we're ready to vote, Mr. Bertram.
All right. Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Dr. Urso?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Within Human Resources, we have a Personnel Agenda B. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
And again, I believe there's a gentleman in that agenda with the last name Urso, I believe.
Might be related.
Might be related. And so, Mr. Bertram, we're ready to vote when you're ready.
All right. Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Dr. Urso?
Abstain?
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
And Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Within HR, we have, it looks like a salary schedule, a correction to the salary schedule, a modification of the part-time and substitute employee schedule. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
In a second,
Second.
please. Thank you. And could you just give a brief kind
I
of
will.
explanation of this?
You just approved this at the last meeting, and once I took a second look at it, or a third look, or a fourth, I don't know, I've done so many schedules, I saw that there was a formula error in there, which was overpaying for that specialty position that we added to the agenda for subs, so I made that correction.
Thank you. Any questions regarding this? Mr. Bertram, we're ready to vote.
Dr. Urso?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Within curriculum and instruction, we have a McGraw-Hill Social Studies adoption, a final approval. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
In a second? Mr.
Second.
Moore, I think you got it in there. I wanted to thank Ms. Prohaska for her presentation a few weeks ago. The process seemed to be thoughtful and deliberate and thorough. I know these are pretty expensive in regards to the allocation of dollars, but we also understand the need to stay relevant. Within history, it changes by the minute. And so we're excited, or at least I'm excited, that the digital platform allows us to remain current within the history adoption. Are there questions or comments or anything before a vote on this item? Mr. Moore, you're okay?
Yep.
I'm glad kids have a nice, solid piece of material to look at, because there's so much information that comes at them from all angles that may or may not be accurate. So I'm glad we've got this good updated anchor
Yes.
of information.
I assume they have this online, digital too?
Yeah, I think that was the big piece from last time, is the digital license is a pretty costly expenditure, but at the same time, it allows us to evolve, the curriculum to evolve across time. And so in the next 6 years, we'll have elections, we'll have historical events that we're not even thinking about right now, and our students will be able to read about it and not wait to the next adoption, and they'll learn from that, which I think is critical.
One less thing in their weighted down backpacks too.
I think they're also getting a book too, but
That
but
stays.
the book, of course, I mean, unless they tear out
Classroom.
pages,
stays.
Classroom editions.
it stays. And so I believe we're ready for a vote, Mr. Bertram.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Dr. Urso?
Yes. Under finance, there's a Bonefish Systems Service Agreement. Makes me kind of hungry, isn't that a restaurant? Caught me right there. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
A second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Bertram, can you give a
Yes.
refresher on this?
Yes, this is a program that, boy, I don't know of any school district that doesn't use it anymore, but anytime we make any accounts payable payments to any company, any individuals, any business, make any payroll payments to our staff, this actually goes out and does a check with the state of Ohio. If anybody would be behind on child support services or other payments due, this would catch that. And by law, we have a responsibility to hold those payments and work through the state. I've been using this now probably 12 to 15 years. I haven't had one yet, but it is a good resource for us. On this contract, I did elect the 5-year contract, which brings the price down from about $4,400 to $3,500 per year.
And you said in the amount of time you've used it, it's never
I've never had a hit.
had a hit.
No, other districts have, but I have not.
All right. Are there questions regarding this? Mr. Bertram, whenever you're ready.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Dr. Urso?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
All right. We're efficient with our time this evening because that brings us to committee reports. I can speak in terms of the Community Center Committee. Our meeting for last Thursday was canceled. There were no new items that needed to be discussed. I know that we'll probably have an upcoming meeting of which we'll pack in whatever we missed last month. But I wanted to thank the Community Foundation. I saw the nice picture online of Miss Nathan from the foundation dropping off a sizable check towards that project. I want to thank their board, Miss Nathan, everyone involved, the people who donated money years ago into that fund to make this a possibility to allocate towards the community center project. I know we have some irons in the fire that we hope to learn some things over the next couple weeks that could be very instrumental into moving forward and having a fully functional, exciting resource for our young folks, especially in the summertime. I mean, we're approaching summer right now. It's nice to know that kids will have a safe, productive environment that they can spend that time. I want to thank my colleagues on that committee. It's a lot of time that they've spent and a lot of good thoughts that go around the table on a given evening. And so thanks to them too. Ms. Hauser, Mr. Bertram, any of the other committees, have they met since our last meeting that you can kind of start a conversation on?
Sure. Well, we did have our policy committee meetings, so Ms. Scheibert and Ms. Mulligan were there, so I'll just open up the floor. We all had some engaging conversation around policy, if that's possible. But yeah, I'll open the floor. We were able to get through quite a few policies. So do you guys want to just share?
I tried to list some of the ones that we talked about, but there are so many. Many of the things are very similar to what we already have. There are some that have a little bit more specific language, like includes more categories. For instance, what was that? The emergency plans and what
Yes.
what would
Constitute an emergency.
yes, what fits in there. Information about College Credit Plus, which was pretty similar to what it's been. Extracurricular participation. Some things were just little tweaks, and I imagine it's because new laws have come in and the language has changed a little bit. It's interesting to watch, how things change a little bit, but mostly they're the same, just more up to date,
Yeah.
more in line with what legal matters require.
Right.
So that's,
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's a lot of reading, but it is very interesting to go through these things and see. I think we're in good shape. I do. I think we're doing a good job.
Yeah, and I've noticed they have changed the language in a way that the policies won't need adjusted every time there's minor tweaks within those policies. So I guess they brought in some of the language, so it will make it easier. Won't have made update when we do this over and over and over again because of that.
It's nice to have an umbrella organization like OSBA to help us with this, because I can't imagine doing this without their legal advice.
Yes,
So I'm very grateful for that.
yes.
Ms. Mulligan, you have anything to add on that?
It was astounding how much detail they went in on some of those things, the athletic transfers. But I guess it has to be done.
The homeschoolers, if they want to
Right,
participate
right.
in school activities, yeah.
a lot of those. But it keeps us honest and keeps us legal.
Right.
Have to do it. I can't think of anything more. Well, we have to do it.
Yep. Keeps us safe, provides our guidelines.
Absolutely.
Yep, so.
Any other committees since our last meeting convened? All right. If I'm reading the agenda correctly, that would bring us to board reports. And Mr. Moore, if you have anything to report this evening.
Yes, just, again, this evening, just wanted to say congratulations to our students and the teachers involved in just seeing the students' artwork tonight. It's always an absolute joy to see families, the smile on their faces, and the kids so proud of their artwork. So I really enjoyed tonight's presentation. And congratulations again to all the students and teachers. It's also been a very busy last couple weeks as we see a lot going on within Middletown City Schools. I'm going to highlight just a couple. Dr. Urso mentioned one earlier, but the Middletown Community Foundation, $300,000 to the Family Zone. I mean, that's a sizable check for the Middletown City Schools. We get to see that the funds are now coming together towards the community center, so I wanted to also say thank you to the foundation. Our students also from the Community Foundation received a number of scholarships. So wanted to say congratulations to the students and
36.
families. How many?
36.
30, okay.
That's huge.
I was wrong about
That's
that number.
huge.
But 36, that might be a record, I think, since we've been on the board here. So congratulations to our families here in Middletown. You drive around the city, you see the signs out, and that's exciting to see. So I was really proud to see that. Lastly, Ms. Hauser, you had sent something out, an email about July 3rd, if we wanted to change that July 3rd. I wasn't sure if there was any discussion about that. Thought I'd bring that up. Our meeting falls right before July 4th. If we wanted to change that date for a long weekend, maybe open that up to see if there's any interest in changing that date. But that's all I have this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Scheibert?
Yes. I know Verlena is not here to speak about her experience, but I went to the Walk and Talk event last Saturday, and it was very lovely. We met at New Era Baptist Church and just walked around the neighborhood and met a lot of people that I have seen, and vice versa. They came up to me and said, "I know your face, but I don't know your name." And Butler County Health representatives were there with information for people, Premier Health, talking about what they had to offer people in the community, and then the Safety Council was there too. So it was just a nice muggy day to walk around. But it didn't rain, and that was wonderful. So I think there's one more of those. Is that
There
right?
is.
In the
May
Amanda,
20th.
in Amanda?
May 20th,
Yeah,
yep.
Amanda neighborhood. So it's open to any member of the community, and it was a nice experience. I enjoyed it. And I'm sure Verlene, I haven't talked to her since she went, but I'm sure she did too. So that's it.
Thank you. Ms. Mulligan?
I didn't really do anything. I was training for the when they have walkers in the Flying Pig Marathon. I was working on that, and the number 36 is a remarkable number. It has a lot of divisors, and it's a perfect square. And I'd like to commend them for their 36 scholarships. So
Well, thank you. I want to echo on that piece because for 36 of our seniors, that's a significant number, and I do think that's probably a high water mark for many years on what our students, and it is a very neat senior class. Neat's not a great adjective. There's a better one that captures the talents and the future that each of them have. And my son's a junior, and he's been able to follow a group of young folks that have led by what I think is a really strong model. I'm going to miss a lot of them. And it's been kind of sad for me because as a coach, you get to know a lot of these young folks, and yeah, you see them move on, and also plants in your mind in a year from now that my son will be going through the same things, which is kind of surreal. I want to send a thanks to our staff. I know it's staff appreciation, teacher appreciation. We have great teachers. I've trusted them with my own. And I was talking to the young artists that were here and finding out and what their stories were and so forth. And you can see that they've been impacted by positive role models and positive teachers. You can see the proof when you get to meet their parents and so forth. And so I want to say thank you to our teachers. From the bottom of the board, we realize that. We understand, and for our support staff, the folks who roam our buildings, and sometimes we don't always recognize the work that they're doing. It is noticed, and it is appreciated. It takes a lot of folks to make our schools function and function well. And in each piece of that, if there's a flaw, then the whole system tends to trend downward. We're fortunate that we have a lot of really good people, and really appreciate all the work they do. I'd like to send our appreciation also to the retirees. This time of year, it's exciting, probably sometimes bittersweet too. I know this week there's a luncheon for our retirees. I want to congratulate them. It's well earned. It's a long time, I think even longer now that the retirement age has kind of shifted some. It's a lot of people who they've been able to impact over the years, and so I want to congratulate our retirees. I also want to shout out to some of our athletes. It's that time of year, and gosh,
You took every one of mine.
I'm good. That's why you go before you.
It's like,
and see,
check,
Todd always
check,
gets
check,
mine. We have a couple folks who are athletes of the week. There's I'm going to say Miss Mitchell, a freshman on our track team that is just, I think, ranked second in the GMC in the 100 and 200 meter. Dia Riston. I apologize to her because I mispronounced her name. And so I would like to congratulate her. Braylon Bailey, who I know relatively well, really neat young man. He's a senior on the baseball team, just broke Middletown High School's strikeout record for a career. And I mean, he's just a really neat young man, and I wish him well. Leah Johnson, who's a sophomore, who broke the season home run record already. She has 7 for softball. She is hitting .361 with 30 RBIs and 7 home runs. I think she's only played a couple years. Somebody was telling me this is her second year playing softball. Wow. And then Sean Smith, who's a volleyball, and I've been watching on Twitter the success that our volleyball team is having, and Sean is a senior. He is second in the GMC with 273 kills, which sounds really impressive. Anything that says that sounds really good. And I want to congratulate Sean. I know our track team has been doing really well. Our baseball team is on a current 4-game winning streak. They beat the second place team in the GMC and swept the third place Princeton this past week. Princeton has a young man on their team who might get drafted, and the team he's really good, and the team beat them last week. And they head into tournament season. All the young people are heading into tournament season. Want to congratulate all of them. And there's a whole list of other folks too I have down here, and I don't want to take up all the oxygen in the room, but there's like Mr. Campolongo was recognized by the Ohio State, and I don't know if you're doing these folks already. Bailey Warner, Tanner Back, senior scholar athlete, Mary Fletcher, Caroline Von Holly, Isaiah Day, Amberly Kawin, Zach Johnson, Asia Espirito, Ronan Casanova. They all received awards through the state for the Ohio Athletic Association, and so congratulations to them too.
Was it more boys or girls on that list?
I think it was an equal distribution.
Oh, that's nice.
Wait a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 to 5 equal. And if you don't count Coach Campolongo, then the young ladies beat the men, and so 5 to 4.
Gonna be girl power.
Mr. Bertram, Ms. Hauser, you're up.
Yeah, I'll be quick, and hopefully I don't steal any of your thunder. I'd like to say the young lady, Leah, was that her name?
Yeah.
With the
Johnson.
7 home runs,
yeah.
she is tied with our very own Kyle Schwarber. So,
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
not that they're competing in the same leagues, but
No.
that is impressive. I keep seeing her day after day on Twitter with another home run. She's doing very well.
Yep.
I would like to take this time to thank our support staff, our MCEA, Carol and her team with the negotiations that we just completed with them. Met for 2 sessions, had a lot of great conversation, and it is always a pleasure working with the MCEA. They're good listeners. We And this time, you talk more than you normally do. I think we were the listeners, but very productive. We will be coming to the board on our meeting on the 22nd to ratify. They've got their vote on Thursday.
Yes.
And hopefully that's good news. I believe it will be. I'm thinking positive, think positive. And it's just very nice working with you. And it may be my very last negotiation, and I couldn't have done it with a finer group of folks. So I just want to thank you for that.
Okay, I think I'll go to reminders. How about that? So we have graduation coming up, May 16th, Tuesday evening, 7 o'clock at Barnett's. Just wanted to remind everyone of that. Also, this Friday, we have our Special Olympics at the high school. Everyone's invited. That begins at 10. Followed up on the same day, 1 o'clock, we have all of our senior awards at the high school. So we welcome everyone to come out for those awards and special days. We're wrapping up the end of the school year, so everything you have with end of the school year is taking place right now. Would like to say, I mentioned before that we had HMH come in to our classrooms. That took place last week, in the middle of last week, and it was a proud moment to have them in our our classrooms, working with our teachers, our students, film crew of 7 that went into the classrooms, worked with our students and teachers. Also the podcast that we produced outside of Rosa Parks, in one of Rosa Parks' classroom, that went live today. So you'll get a link for that podcast, so I encourage you to listen to that. So that's a proud moment for Middletown City Schools also. So with that, and then also it is Staff Appreciation Week, right? And so everything you said, Dr. Urso, and ditto times 10. Yeah, we definitely appreciate all of our 720-something staff members that we have here at Middletown City Schools. It takes each and every one of us to do the work that we do. And it's just a shout out to everyone that makes it happen for our children, our community.
You did a nice job on your email to the staff. I read that earlier this week, and it captured, the sentiments of the board, and we appreciate you sending that out. Any other items? I know, Mr. Moore, you brought up the idea of July 3rd. I know the 10th I'll be out of town. I don't know the week before what the situation's there. We can kind of tackle that as we get closer. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Bertram.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
We are adjourned.